I'm here with Freki of Varg to talk about their latest album. I'm going to try to pronounce it. Ewig Wacht. Is it close enough?
Nearly, yes. Ewige Wacht.
Okay, close enough.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
Good. That was pretty good. Out right now on Napalm Records. First of all, thank you very much for taking the time. I really appreciate it. It's always a pleasure to talk to you. How are you doing today?
Thank you. Doing pretty fine. Enjoying the day with my two kids and my wife. Beautiful weather outside. Couldn't be a better day.
So let's talk about other great things besides the weather, which is this record. The album has been out for a few days now, not a week yet, but a few days. What's the fan reaction been so far?
The reactions have been outstanding, to be honest. It's always a day you're looking forward a very long time when you finished an album until the album is finally released by the label. And that day came last Friday, and we were looking forward to hear the comments of our fans and the audience. And they just blew us away. Lots of them think it's our best album so far. I think we touched a lot of them with the songs and melodies and lyrics in their hearts, which was a big goal for me for that album. And yes, I couldn't be happier about it.
How much did the success of the previous album, because that album was very successful for you guys, how much did that success impact the creative output that then becomes this new record?
Well, to be honest, not at all, because we started writing for Ewige Wacht even before the previous album Zeichen has been released. So the opening track and also the first single, Immer Treu, as instrumental version, has already been written before the previous album has been released. And we took all these 3 years of time to make the songs on Ewige Wacht perfect for us. We took a lot of time to feel those melodies and the feelings we get out of the instrumental songs. And with this feeling, we started writing the lyrics and wanted to go one step deeper with the meaning of the songs, not only lyrical wise, but also with the emotions we try to transport with the melodies in the album. And yeah, I think the previous album being that successful just made us very self-confident that we can just do our thing and it will be good, you know.
Mm-hmm. And this album definitely has a little bit of a heavier, folkier experience, soundscape. Was that driven by a creativity standpoint that you wanted to take the sound of the band more towards that realm, or obviously the lyrics and the stories on this record also called for a little bit of more of a folky influence?
We wanted the album to sound as authentic as possible while still being heavy as fuck. You know, I mean, we play 7-string guitars with standard B tuning, which is quite low to have this very heavy sound. And that's compared with those beautiful folk melodies and the classical singing vocals is a combination that makes it possible to let the album both sound very, very hard, very heavy, and still beautiful and folky, you know?
Yeah, there's definitely a duality that exists within this record. And I think one person that really enhances that duality is Filgia. Her voice has such an incredible impact. It's one of those things, is chicken or egg. I'm not quite sure which one came first. I don't know if her voice has an impact on the sound or the sound has an impact on her voice, but the two work really well on this record. She definitely has a bigger role on this album than she did on the previous record. What in your mind dictated her to have this more of a presence, to be more of a protagonist on this record?
Thank you very much for the nice words. I think for this album, Fulgia had a very big part in the overall concept and sound, because she did not only sing and write some of the lyrics, but had a very big impact on the whole album concept, on all the videos, but also for the very first time on songwriting. You have to know we are like four musicians. I count myself as a musician because when I started with Varg, I was the guitar player and I still play the guitar for songwriting and studio stuff and like that. For live, I'm just the singer. But we four musicians, we are writing songs all with the guitar. Also, the drummer plays guitar, you know. We get the guitar melody, then we get the rhythm guitar, then we get some drums on it. And Fugia came up with ideas for songs, for especially Fugia itself, the song, and for example, for Eisenseite. And she came up with the melody. She was singing this melody, which is the main theme of the song. And it was like a very new way of songwriting, not to have the guitar in the hand and say, okay, we start here with the melody and let's go there with the rhythm. But you have this sung melody in mind and you have to make a metal song out of it. And this is a new adventure for Varg, and the outcome has been pretty good, I think. So I'm very proud that Fugia had this big influence on the album because it makes it sound like it sounds. If we hadn't her in the band, we probably would have released another Varg album in the row of a Varg album and a Varg album and a Varg album. But this one now has a different sounding without losing who we are. It is still 100% Varg, but it's going one step deeper in emotion, and we really love this chance we have with Fugia as classic singing voice because I couldn't do it. I can do some growling, some screams, and I can do a little clean singing within my range, which is okay. But I would never be able to do those melodies that she's able to include in our songs, you know.
So now having her have this predominant role, creating this record, opening doors, are you even more excited now about what the future of the band will be? Because now I feel like the canvas in which you paint just became a lot bigger.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like unlimited possibilities of ways of songwriting now. So I'm very curious about where we are going from now. Actually, we haven't written any new songs yet because we are so focused on this new album and on the tour we are in right now. We're touring like every weekend with the songs of the new album, and we are just absolutely focused on the new songs, and we really love them.
So, being a vocalist, and for the longest time being the vocalist of the band, now you have to share duties. You have to share the spotlight. I know you don't mind, but what kind of impact does this create for you when it comes time for you to write your own vocal melodies, write your own vocal lines?
Um, it's an absolute new adventure because now you have to talk to somebody else about how you set your vocals on a song. I mean, you can do ba 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 or you can do ba 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 ba. You know what I mean? And if you have like those two voices not only doing a dialogue, but doing the same vocals at the same time, but her actually singing and me screaming or growling, you need to make it fit. And I think this is also something that made the songs even better because now there are two persons thinking about what could fit this song in the best possible way. And I'm very open-minded for her ideas, and she's also open-minded for my ideas. So this working together is a lot of fun and makes it better, in my opinion. And to be honest, for the live songs or for the live concerts, it is a very great experience for me to have the possibility to step one step back from the light as the front man, to have her singing some parts and me going off the stage and watching my own band playing a show while the show is running. this is something I have wished for like in 10 or 15 years, you know, watching your own band play. And this is something that now I really enjoy. And also within those headliner sets we are doing right now, it's like 110-minute shows. Um, it's very great to have those 2 or 3 minutes in between to step back and breathe and get some new energy for the next song, you know?
So basically, you just brought her into the band so you can have some beers in between songs.
Yes, you can say so, yes.
Uh, and I think the vocals on this record are definitely going to be something that people will talk about because we saw the gradual progress in the previous record, but this album is a little bit bigger from that point of view. There's a lot more to digest. But another thing that I noticed about this record that I felt like it was different from the previous albums was the drum sound. The drum sound on this record is really good, really, really, really good. So how much of that is the drummer? And how much of that is all the production that you guys put into it?
Well, I think the sound is mainly, yes. Let's say the great sound is a thing that is provided by our producer, by Andre Hoffman. We are working with him since our very first debut album, not always for the whole production. We're doing this since 2015, I think, but he's always been a part of Varg. He's also our live sound guy for, let's say, 10 or 12 years or something. And yes, his part is to make it sound great. But of course, our new drummer, Rogar, provided a different playing drums than our previous drummer Fenrir did. Both are very great drummers, but the new guy Rogar has very special way of also playing the cymbals or which fills he plays. And actually, I have to say this is the best musician I have ever played with, and I have ever had the honor to share the stage with. In his day job, he's a drum teacher. He's writing drum learning books for everybody. Like his new book is about shamanic drumming, which couldn't fit any better, of course. And it's just amazing for us to have this outstanding drummer now in the band. And yes, I think it's both. The sound is Andre, but what he plays is Rogar, and both together make this great drum sound, in my opinion.
Yeah, it gave the album this very earthy experience, which works really well considering the concept and the stories and the themes of the record. So it gives a little bit more of a sense of reality and almost like honesty to the music. The music feels a little bit more real. And I don't think without that drum sound coming across the way it does, I don't think you can get that 100%. You can be close, but you're not going to get that sound 100%. It has more of a natural feel. Like everything seems more realistic for a lack of a better word.
Thank you very much. I feel the same, and that was the big goal with the drum sound.
Now, you mentioned a little bit about the work with the lyrical content. You're not doing it alone. Philgia obviously had a role in this. How do you guys approach an album like this? Do you guys think of stories? Do you do research? Like, how does it work?
Well, on most of the songs, it's like we start with the melody. So we are thinking of a melody that catches you at the heart or at the soul, or you start with a heavy riff that makes you headbang. And from this melody in most songs, you start writing the riff, then you started writing the drums, and then you keep making the song perfect for your ears. You try to hear um, how is the song and the melody developing? What kind of feelings do you get out of this song while listening to it in sunlight, in the night, in rain and shine, you know? So for myself, I'm listening to the song very often as instrumental version, and then think about what kind of stories and feelings come to my mind while listening to the song. And then most of the times in my head there are some half sentences, some words that just fit perfect at some parts of the song. And from there, I start to think about the lyrical concept to include those words or sentences um, to finish this song with the final lyrics. And for this new album, Ewige Wacht, there are many songs that have Northern mythology as the main theme. But if you look closer, um, it's not only a story about, let's say, a gigantic snake in the sea, but also something you can think of in your personal life that counts for you, that are values that you have, or feelings you have, or things that happen to yourself. And this is something that everybody who listens to the songs and uh, reads the lyrics. I know they are in German, so maybe some of the audience needs to translate them, but they might get not only the story of the lyrics itself, but combined with the melody and the feeling, they might get something out of it for themselves. So this album really comes deep from our hearts, and its a goal was to meet our fans in their hearts and just to give the feeling of the songs to them, not just to put out some new music, but to put out some feeling, you know.
You have the perfect segue to my next question, which is I don't speak German, so obviously I can't understand the lyrics. So can you clarify something that I've been talking to my son about? So Ice Inside, is that really about the Titanic? So like, is that about the Titanic, not the Ice Inside? Is that what that was about?
No, actually, Eisenseite is the German translation of Björn Jarnsieder, which was in Saga one of the last Danish Viking kings, one of the last great Viking kings. Um, his burial mound is said to be in Sweden. And you might know the story if you watched the Vikings TV series on Netflix. It's the son of Ragnar Lodbrok.
Ragnar Lothbrok.
And also in reality, they say it's the son of Ragnar in the saga. Um, let's say it's not based on the TV series, but it's based on the saga about this Jan Sida Eisenseite, and what we felt about it.
Really interesting. I hope you don't mind us having some fun and joking with
No problem at all. I love the ice inside joke.
I
Haven't thought about it.
that was really funny. So I hope you don't mind. Do you ever sit and think about album number one of Varg and where you guys are now, and the road that you guys have taken, the difficulties, the challenges, and how you've persevered through all of that, and now you're releasing an album like this? Do you ever take time to think about it, or are you always just looking forward into the future?
No, actually, I'm kind of those guys who really listen to their own songs. You know, we've been doing this since 20 years, and I'm also promoter of a Pagan and black metal festival in Germany, where you meet many, many bands and musicians. Then we've been on the road for 20 years. We've been touring in nightliners in Europe, in North America. You meet lots of other musicians, and most of them tell me they don't listen to their own songs. And this is something I really do very often. Um, actually, the band I most hear is Varg, and I don't only listen to the new album, I also listen to the old albums, of course. And that's why I'm thinking a lot about those different albums and what meaning they had to me in my personal life. Um, but as you might have noticed, we re-released our very first album, this Wolfside, as Wolfside 2, back in 2019. And this was kind of, for me, a rebirth of Varg. So from the first album until 2018, we did try many different styles of costumes, of musical styles, of themes we played with. Everything was Varg, but it just in the end felt to me like we lost our way. And in 2019, I really felt this strong connection to our pagan roots, and it was my main goal to go back to where the band was born, to the very first album, and from there decide to walk one straight path. And this is what we have done. We have re-recorded this Was Sad album as Was Sad 2. We re-released it and then started with the release of Zeichen, our previous album, to go this only pagan metal way. And now with the new album, Ewige Wacht, we straight follow this path and just try to go deeper and deeper, you know?
I can totally see what you're saying. I can totally see that. My last question for you is, will that path at some point lead you to North America, specifically here to Canada? I would love to see you guys play.
To be honest, we would love to come back to North America, especially in Canada. There have been some of the most beautiful locations we have played in the whole world. There are amazing locations, great old theaters and stuff like that. The people really show that they feel the music there in Canada. So it's always been great shows, and we would love to come back, but there has been difficulties to make it happen because let's say back in 2012 and 2014 when we played the North American tours, I was just like a musician having great shows and beers and that's it. And now getting older, you have kids on your own. It's my daughter is 2, my son is 5. So it's difficult to say, hey, I'm going to North America with your mom. Philgia is my wife and the mother of my children also. See you in 4.5 weeks, you know. So I hope it will happen, but it probably won't happen as like 4 to 5 weeks tour, but maybe some festival shows and some single shows before and after that or something. This would be a great thing and a doable thing. So if any Canadian promoter is out there, just hit us an email and we'll be there. We would love to come back.
I hope that happens. I understand where you're coming from. Life gets in the way. The kids are important. I mean, you can't forget about that. First and foremost, family comes first. So I totally get that. And touring with them is also not on the cards. So unless you need a really young person to sell your merch. So
well, actually, when my son was born, it was like 3 or 4 weeks before we started our tour in Germany, and we did the tour with him on board. But it's been only weekender shows, which is the main thing we do in Germany, Austria, Switzerland. Where we live is not far away from any city. Like we live in the middle of anything. So it's like a 2, 3, or let's say 4-hour drive to the biggest cities. And this is easy to do also with a kid. Then you just pack in grandma in the car. You have a lot of luggage, of course. Then you have like 2 hotel rooms instead of 1. And then for the time of the show, you leave the kid with grandma, and then you come back in the evening. And that's what we have been doing.
I love it. I think that's great. In a couple of years, I was joking about the merch, but in a couple of years, your son will be able to help you sell some merch. And
yeah, absolutely.
You can have a whole family touring event. Always a pleasure, Freki, to talk to you. Thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate it. Varg, the new album is out. I won't try to butcher the name again. I did it once. That's good enough. The album is out on Napalm Records. Go check it out. Go pick it up. And if you're in Germany or in the surrounding area, go see these guys play live. I wish I was in your shoes. I wish I could come to a show. So I'll have to wait a little.
You're always invited.
Oh, I'll definitely take you up on it. If I'm ever around where you guys are playing, if I'm ever in Europe and you guys are playing a show, I'm definitely coming to check you guys out. You're definitely on my bucket list for bands that I need to see before I go from this place to Valhalla. So I'll have to come and see you guys. Thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you too. I have one more funny fact for the end, if you have the time.
Yeah, of course.
You noticed my son may be selling some merch. He's The fun fact is he is part of the album. He's the child that sings the end of the Fylgja song. So if you haven't heard it, you need to
No,
check
I
out the
heard
song
it.
Fylgja. At the end, the
I thought you
child,
guys
he's the
just
one singing it.
hired somebody or something.
Yes, it's my son. And if you haven't checked out the official video for the title track of the album, Ewige Wacht, like the second scene, my son is walking with my wife, Fylgja, and a lot of scenes there is a small girl, a 2-year-old girl with the grandma, and it's actually my daughter and the grandmother of my wife.
Wow.
So it's always family business with Varg. It's
That
from the heart.
that is very cool. That is very cool. I was listening to the album. I saw the children's voice, which I thought was really cool in the way that was set up in the song, but it never crossed my mind that that was your own kid doing that. That is really cool. That is really cool. Cool for you and
Cool.
cool for him. I mean, that's super cool.
Yeah, absolutely. He'll be on this record forever.
Exactly, exactly. I'm sure he'll be in more. I don't think that this might be his first, but it won't be his last. So
I hope so.
yeah, I can guarantee you that. Man, thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you too. Greetings to your son.